God's image.
Colossians 1:15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation? Colossians 3:10. And have put on the new man, which is being renewed unto full knowledge, according to the image of him who created him. 2 Corinthians 3:18. But we all with unveiled face, beholding and reflecting like a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, even as from the Lord's Spirit. Genesis 1:26. And God said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness.
As regenerated God-men, we have the right to participate in God's image. Christ is God's image, expressing what he is. According to 2 Corinthians 3:18, we are being transformed into the same image. To be transformed into the same image is to be conformed to the resurrected Christ as the firstborn Son of God, to be made the same as he is.
Colossians 1:15. Note 1. God is invisible, but the Son of his love, who is the effulgence of his glory and the impress of his substance, is his image, expressing what he is. The image here is not a physical form but an expression of God's being in all his attributes and virtues.
Genesis 1:26. Note 3. God's image, referring to God's inner being, is the expression of the inward essence of God's attributes, the most prominent of which are love 1 John 4:8, light 1 John 1:5, holiness Revelation 4:8, and righteousness Jeremiah 23:6. God's likeness, referring to God's form Philippians 2:6, is the expression of the essence and nature of God's person. Thus, God's image and God's likeness should not be considered as two separate things.
Man's inward virtues, created in man's spirit, are copies of God's attributes and are the means for man to express God's attributes. Man's outward form, created as man's body, is a copy of God's form. Thus, God created man to be a duplication of himself that man may be able to contain God and express him. All the other living things were created according to their kind, but man was created according to God's kind, since God and man are of the same kind. It is possible for man to be joined to God and to live together with him in organic union. Christ the Son, as God's embodiment, is the image of the invisible God, the expression of the essence of God's attributes. Man was created according to Christ with the intention that Christ would enter into man and be expressed through man. Created man is a living vessel, a container to contain Christ. Eventually, in his incarnation, Christ put on human nature and became in the likeness of men, so that through his death and resurrection man may obtain God's eternal divine life, and by that life be transformed and conform to the image of Christ inwardly, that he may be the same as Christ and may express God with him to the universe. Created man was a duplication of God in God's image and likeness, but he did not have the reality of God or the life of God. Thus, he still needed to receive God as his life by eating of the tree of life, so that he might have the reality of God to express him.
Thank you for enjoying.